Nvidia's in the news, and I'll tell you right now, it's not for good things. They've released a bunch of their newest GPUs, some of the high-end stuff. I even got one, which I will tell you a story about that in a future video. And it's not going well. We're just gonna say it's not going well. But the thing is, what they've done most recently, just in the last day or so, is making a bunch of tech YouTubers super upset. And I think it's kind of interesting because this isn't something that's new in the tech space. It just seems to be new in the PC space, I guess. And this seems to be why so many tech YouTubers are kind of being upset. So let me set the stage for those of you who don't know. First of all, Nvidia, really the absolute beast of a manufacturer for GPUs. Kind of in a lot of ways, the Apple of GPUs. They sell high-end products for a whole bunch of money. Kind of the same thing as Apple, where you can get a polishing cloth for like 20 bucks or something dumb like that. Their performance is kind of unmatched, especially in the high-end market, where if you want 4K 120 frames per second, you kind of got to go to Nvidia because AMD they ain't playing there anymore. So that's fine. I get it. If you're going to get more, if you want to play, you got to pay. And I'm all down with that. I get it. It's all fine and good. But unfortunately, much like we saw in the mobile space, prices are going up and up and up.
If it's up, then it's up, then it's up, then it's stuff.
Just for reference, you can get a whole ass PlayStation for like 500 bucks. And the GPU, the graphics processing unit, again, for those of you who may not be familiar, for a decent one, it's about 500 bucks. And that's just the GPU. That's not the CPU, the motherboard, the case, nothing else. That's all that is. You got the GPU, but that's about it. You ain't playing nothing on it. You have to use your imagination. For me, I get it. I am in a unique position where I'm surrounded by tech stuff and I review tech stuff from time to time, talk about tech stuff. So I can buy these things that are maybe a little bit more expensive than what your average consumer can. But what I'm seeing here and what Nvidia is doing now is a little dirty. Let's look at it from both sides. Let's be fair to Nvidia first, and then let's go in with what's really going on. This past release cycle of the 50 series of Nvidia cards has been highly controversial because while yes, they do increase performance, they don't increase performance over the last generation by very much. We saw this in the mobile space as well. Between every generation of iPhone, it's like the camera's a little bit better, but who cares? There's not a lot of difference. We're starting to get to that point here in GPUs. So what they've done is they've introduced frame generation back in the 40 series and then multi-frame generation this year. And some people don't like that. I like frame generation to bridge the gap between good performance and to saturate my display with as many frames as possible. I like that. I'm fine with that. It doesn't really affect my input latency because I usually use a controller for most games. So I dig it. I think the technology is good. But they're now using it to actually say that the newer pieces of hardware are so much more powerful than previous generation that you have to buy it. And that is bull. Let's just be honest. It's absolute crap. When you look at the performance of the 5070, which they said is as powerful as a 4090, it's not. It's not even close. Let's stop that. Let's stop the cap. And again, this is all fine and good when you try to show the best in your product. I totally get it. And just like in other niches in the tech sphere, like they do here in mobile space, they'll send products out to get reviewed so that before the product hits the shelves, you have a review you can look at. Now, for iPhones, usually tech reviewers get it about a week or so before you can order an iPhone, and that way you can make a good purchasing decision. That's been the case here as well for Nvidia and AMD, as they'll send the products out to tech reviewers, and then you'll get a review, and within a day or so you can go pick it up. Until now, you see, one of their most popular series of video cards is the 60 series, so 3060, 4060, and now 5060. Mainly because they're cheap. They're the cheapest ones you can get anyway, $300. I don't know if that's exactly cheap, but it's the most used series on computers for gaming. It's not so expensive that you wouldn't get one, and they give pretty good performance. Except this time, they're not sending them to reviewers. And they know this, and they're doing this because they know they're not going to review very well. What is going on right now? What is going on? And because I assume they know that these things aren't going to review well, they're just not sending them to reviewers. They just want those things to go out in the wild and have uninformed consumers buy them. That is kind of dirty pool. Now, if they had never sent any of their products out to any reviewers ever, you could say, okay, well, that's just the way they've always done it. But the 50 series from the 90s, 80s, and 70s, and even the 5060 Ti's have all been sent to reviewers. So why not the 5060? It's because they know there will not be a single reviewer worth their salt that's going to say you should buy this video card. And now we're getting into some really, really sus places. Gamers Nexus just sent out a video yesterday where they torched Nvidia for some of their practices. You should definitely go check that out.
We will be talking about how we feel like Nvidia has been threatening the media with access, or at least us, how it builds relationships between the press and engineers and then later uses those to manipulate the media, and how its executives throw its own employees under the bus.
But long story short, Nvidia is like, if you want these video cards, or in the case of Gamers Nexus, if you want these interviews, son, you better play nice. You better talk about all the talking points we want you to talk about. That's not how reviews work. Reviews work is you send me the product, I tell my viewership, which is what you want access to, I tell my viewership the best possible points about the product, but then also all the things that aren't good, so that when a person goes, okay, I've watched this review and I've watched the review, now I know if I want to buy it. I'm not your commercial. That's not how it works. If you want that, you got to pay me for that. The video card's not payment, by the way. And almost none of these reviewers are looking for sponsored content for a review of a video card. It's just not a thing. They want to review it honestly. And that's the way it should be. And if your product isn't good enough to be reviewed, maybe you should reconsider not releasing that product. Although I know for every year you got to come out with a new piece of hardware so you can make more of that money. Now, for those who don't know, at this point, Nvidia is making so much more money in AI that the gaming stuff is more of a LARP than anything. They're just kind of playing around in this field. This used to be their main thing, and it's not that big anymore. AI is really where they're making all their money, which is kind of sad, which means they could take their ball and go home, and there's nothing we can do about it. But once again, they're the #1 player in this game. They make the best video cards. While their drivers aren't necessarily the best, their video cards, the performance is unmatched, and that's just the way it is. So when they say you got to play ball if you want access to our hardware, some reviewers, none of the ones that you will see here, like Gamers Nexus doesn't care, are going to be like, well, crap, as you may be an up-and-coming content creator, you're like, I want access to these. I guess I'll just say the nice things, or I'll do the bullet points they want because I need access, because that's where the views come from. And you as a consumer don't know what to believe when you are starting out as a tech YouTuber and you can't afford to buy all this stuff, or in the case of something like video cards where the release date, all the reviews and all the views come really early on and you can't get in advance, some people will bend their morals. Y'all know I'm going to give you the truth. And while sure, I would absolutely accept a video card review, I'm not going to shine that thing up if it's a piece of turd. So what you're going to have probably in the future is a bunch of tech YouTubers that are going to have to try to buy these cards, which is a whole other ball of wax. I need to talk about this in another video. You can't even get these things at MSRP. You cannot get a video card that's new for a decent price. Let's not even start to talk about how Nvidia raised the prices of all these video cards in the first place. I mean, I'll do that in another video, which makes it already difficult enough to get these things. But when you also try to buy one, they're not in stock anywhere. So forget about paying the high price. You can't get them. You can't find them. This is bad. And I believe it could be that Nvidia might be testing the waters. You see, they don't actually need tech reviewers. Actually, and I've been saying this about Apple for a long time. Apple doesn't have to give iPhones to tech reviewers to get reviews. People are going to buy them. They're going to buy them. And as a matter of fact, interestingly, even if all the tech reviewers said to not buy the 5060 series, enough people are going to buy them that it's not going to matter anyway. But Nvidia doesn't need tech YouTube reviews at all. They are selling despite the fact they've raised prices and done all these things that are kind of anti-consumer, and will continue to do so, because much like the smartphone user, especially an iPhone user, if the new thing comes out, you kind of want it. And no matter what tech YouTubers say, you'll probably buy it anyway. So does Nvidia even need to bend the knee to the reviewers as they're being, quote, canceled right now? Or at least Jensen is. I suppose it's coming from him that he wants all this positive feedback. I don't think so. And by the way, as a company, it makes no sense to send a product out to a tech reviewer who might crap on your product in front of hundreds of thousands of people. It's not a good business practice at all. So I totally get if they don't want to send products out that they think are going to review badly. 100% a bad business choice to send something out to someone who's going to tell thousands of people to not buy it. So that's absolutely fair. So is Nvidia being canceled for the wrong reasons? I don't know. I don't even think it's going to matter, because at the end of the day, they don't need tech reviewers at all. If they decided to not send out products anymore, a lot of those same tech YouTube channels are just going to buy them and review them anyway. So what's the point of the hassle beforehand? From a business perspective, it maybe makes sense to never do this again and just not send out review units. Unless, of course, they're going to shine you up real nice and talk nice about your product. But try to make a product that people are going to want to buy, and then you won't have to worry about that. Speaking of which, I think I'm going to be talking more about PC stuff here. So if you like that, hit that subscribe button, because I got a whole bunch of thoughts. I got a 5080 the other day that isn't even here anymore. It's in an RMA, and I just bought that bitch like 2 weeks ago. I'll tell you that story in probably one of the next videos. I'll see you in the next one.